Welcome to Nestology. We're your hosts, Shelley and Jessica. Today, we're going to talk about something super fun and controversial that is going on right now, the NAR lawsuit. And what even is that, Jessica?
So NAR is National Association of Realtors. You guys may have heard on the news talk about this. This has been going on for a while. There was a recent lawsuit and settlement just happened. We're going to see some changes. We felt it's important to talk about this one today because the news does have some crazy headlines.
Absolutely.
As it always does. Mm-hmm. It's clickbait, sensational.
It's the news.
So, although we don't have all the answers yet and we don't know exactly the full impact of some of these things, we wanted to bring some clarity to it because it's not what the news says. I mean, some of the words are just so dramatic with how they're,
yes,
it's, a little much. So the reason for the lawsuit, the lawsuit was looking at some policies and practices that were considered detrimental, big word, to home buyers and home sellers. So some of those things being, one, not disclosing buyer agent commissions. And just a little side note on how that works. Typically, we would see sellers offering compensation to their agent, their listing agent, and then that listing agent would offer to split their fees with a buyer's agent if they brought a buyer. But not disclosing what that buyer agent commission was to the public is one issue. Another was advertising services is free. So,
seen that one a lot.
Yes. Because, guys, I mean, even if the seller did pay for it, it's not free. So there's no such thing as a free lunch.
There's no free lunch.
There's no free lunch. So, yeah, it's going to get paid somewhere. And there's something that will happen because of that. There's no such thing as free. We did not work for free. We were compensated by someone else in the transaction. But anyway, so that was one part to it. Another was that the MLS had, or some of them may have had search criteria for sorting by commission. So when we were setting up a search, there were MLS platforms that allowed for sorting of that, just like we could sort by square footage or acreage.
So you're talking about when you're looking for a house.
Mm-hmm. Me as the agent, if I was setting up a search and I go in and I could say that my clients want an acre property, so everything with over an acre, 2,000 square feet. But then I could also, this was in the past, because it is a factor that was in the MLS, it was searchable. So we could search by properties that had a certain commission.
Oh, wow.
So, and that did get taken away. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but that was taken away a little while ago. Once that was realized that people could do that. Like I said, it was part of the search criteria, just like you could search for anything. You could sort by that if an agent wanted to do that. Another thing was limiting lockbox access to people who were not a part of the MLS. And the last thing being required compensation for buyer's agents. Those are the topics that were in the lawsuit.
All right. So what does the settlement change?
So there are quite a few new policies that are in place. The big things that are changing: MLS will no longer allow for us to market buyer agent compensation. It doesn't mean that a seller can't offer it, but we can't advertise it in MLS. So where before we could show what that offering was, that is going to go away very soon.
Therefore not search by it.
Yes. So it changed a while ago where we could not sort or search by the buyer agent commission, but it was still there. So we could see on a listing what was being offered, but that is going to go away now. The other thing is that an agent cannot show a home without a buyer agency agreement. So that's a big change. That we've had buyer agency agreements here in Texas. Some states have never had that, so they're having to kind of start from scratch with it. But we're going to be required to have those signed before we can show a house or conduct any business.
Wow. Okay. So are these changes that are potentially happening, are they positive?
I think some of them are. Some I'm not loving. Part of this commission not being marketed in MLS, that part, I don't know that I love that, because the whole idea of this is transparency. So if, I guess let me backtrack. The listing, when we had it marketed in MLS, so we could say we are offering X amount to a buyer's agent, our buyers could see that in the listing. They could see it on Zillow. So, and that had changed a while back. So we were becoming more transparent by making that available to the buyers to be able to see. So that way a buyer could see how much their agent would get compensated on a particular sale. But now that's being removed. So I felt like we were making progress by going forward and having that advertised and available to the public, but now we're removing it completely.
Oh, wow.
Now it's the way that they've changed it though, is that it will be part of the contract now, which that part I do actually like. The forms now, oh gosh,
So it's in writing.
It's in writing and it's in the contract, and it's a page that the buyer and seller will sign. So they are understanding who's getting paid what.
Great. Okay.
So
doesn't sound horrible.
It's a little clunky right now. I spent hours and hours last week on training classes with attorneys in the area, going over our new forms. I was actually just showing Shelly earlier.
How many new forms?
Well, we had 82 pages of either new forms or corrected forms that we have been reviewing and trying to understand.
Oh my gosh.
So those took
82.
effect Monday. So yeah, it's a lot. Some of them were just minor changes, a little bit of verbiage change here and there, and some are completely new forms. Having this in the contract is good. I do like that buyers and sellers will be able to see it and have that transparency. Like I said,
Absolutely.
I don't love, we could have it, my opinion, hand in hand. It could be an MLS and available for the public to see what's being offered, but, still have it in the contract. So I feel like both could be done.
Right.
That's my
But
opinion.
now at least it'll be in writing and part of the contract.
Yep.
And as a lender, we're going to be required to get a copy of that.
Yeah, I'm curious how
'Cause
you guys are.
yeah.
You guys are figuring this out too, even though it's.
We are. We'll see what happens with all that. But we're going to need to know who's paying for what, right? So
Right.
we can properly pre-approve clients for purchasing a house.
Yes. And I feel like the contracts will get better because right now we're adding a few pages to each contract with addendums, but that the Texas Association of Realtors has put out, and every state is handling this differently. We had a call yesterday with some agents in different states, and it's crazy to hear all the differences with the laws and how they're handling it. But I feel like at the end of the year, when the Texas Real Estate Commission, when they make their changes, because each year the contracts change a little bit, they make tweaks to it. So I think that they'll end up getting this rolled in. It'll be a paragraph added to the contract instead of 5 extra pages we get to add on. So I do also like the change of buyer agency agreements being required. It'll be a little bit of an adjustment because in the past I haven't always required it before even meeting a buyer at the
so
first
what
house.
exactly is that?
Buyer agency agreement, the representation agreement, it's an agreement between the buyer and the agent that says that you are representing them. They are your agent and they have a fiduciary responsibility to look out for your best interest now. So that, like I said, in Texas we've had it, and I've always had my buyers sign it. That's been common practice of mine.
But I've heard some don't.
Some don't. It depends on if your brokerage required it. It was never a law, and some states didn't even have a buyer agency contract.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
The part that I like about this, especially for first-time home buyers, there were a lot of people who didn't understand who they were working with, who was representing them. They would go to an open house, they would talk to the listing agent, that person would write an offer for them, and they thought that person was looking out for their best interest, and they weren't. That was the seller's agent.
Oh,
So
yeah.
the terms were not written in their favor. They thought that person was looking out for them and may even use things against them that they said about, hey, we're willing to go up another $10,000 on our price if we have to. Well, that agent's going to use that because they don't have any requirements to, protect the things that you've said. So they can go to their client and tell them everything you've told them.
So it's beneficial as a buyer to sign that.
It is. Like I said, I don't know that before a first showing. I'm a little torn on it because having to sign something with a person that you've never worked with yet, that's a big commitment. So there is a new form. Again, still not sure I love it because there's flaws I feel in this form. It's a 1-page form that you can sign instead of the full buyer agency agreement. I think the best thing to do is if you're not sure you want to work with that agent, but you want to have a couple showings and get to know them, you could sign it for just a short period of time or specifically for a couple houses. That way you can go look at those houses with the agent, see if it's a good fit,
Okay, so it's not like a 6-month commitment.
No, you get to decide the terms, and I've offered that in the past with clients that I've worked with, because I can't negotiate on your behalf if we don't have that agreement. Legally, I can't. So even before we were required for this, like the way our forms, I won't get into all the nitty gritty of it, but I would sign those for just a particular house or two that we were going to see that day. That way we were all protected under that agency agreement. So it will be good that people understand who's representing them, but you just have to be very careful about who you sign with, so you don't sign a 6-month agreement with an agent that ends up not doing their job.
Wow.
That's the worry I have, is that someone will either, buyers will go unrepresented because they're scared to sign a contract with someone, or they will sign with someone that ends up being subpar. So,
oh my goodness.
Oh, and another change too is that buyer agents, so in the contract, it does explain fees. You cannot, as a buyer's agent, accept more than what is in your contract. So you put X amount in there and then you find out the seller's offering more. You can only take as much as what's in your agreement.
Okay.
So an agent won't be able to pay more. And that is to help prevent someone from, an agent from steering someone to a property that would pay them more. That's, a lot of these are to help with that unethical behavior. Whether it's intentionally unethical or like the advertising of free services, the whole point is to make sure that people fully understand these things and to prevent.
Transparent.
Yep. Because the people who sorted by what paid the highest commission or steered their clients towards something that paid them more commission, I mean, unfortunately, there are those people. There's always going to be.
Do you think this is really going to help? Prevent unethical behavior?
To prevent unethical behavior, no.
I mean, there's that in every industry.
No,
right? We all know
exactly.
That's why there's more and more paperwork all the time for everything.
Right? I mean, okay, well, just real estate alone, you look at these contracts, we got 20 pages. Every paragraph that gets added is because of a lawsuit. Somebody did something wrong.
Yep.
So, and yeah, like you said, every industry, there's bad doctors, there's bad of everything. So I don't think it'll stop. More education for everyone, more education for agents, more education for the buyers and sellers. I think that's all great. But if there's someone who's truly unethical, the people who were sorting by the properties that gave them the most commission, those people are going to find a way to cheat the system regardless. They're going to find loopholes.
They will. They always will.
I saw a guy on TikTok, an agent, talking about, different strategies that have been brought up. Like, do we go to a fee-based, like pay by the hour or pay by the houses we show or charge by that? And the idea of going hourly, well, imagine that you have an unethical agent and they're taking you to see houses. Are they going to want you to get under contract quickly and find the best house right away? Probably not. Mm-hmm. They're going to get paid more by showing you more houses. When they go to write the offer, are they going to try and make it a really clean offer that will get accepted and not have any hiccups? Or will they want problems? I mean, it would benefit them if there's issues in the transaction where they have to jump in and fix things.
Yeah, you make me think of attorneys charging by the hour and how they would drag out divorces or lawsuits just to bill more hours.
Kind of like this with the attorneys in this lawsuit. Yeah, no, there's a lot to talk about that too. But yeah, if we went like that, billable hours like an attorney, and I mean, I just can't imagine the calls that I get sometimes at, 9:00 at night, and a client calls me in a panic because something has happened and they have a question. And I mean, I play therapist a lot. I mean, I'm, answering that call and talking them off a ledge with something. Would I be sitting there tracking that call and charging them for that phone call and at a premium rate because it's evening hours? Oh, and if it's a Saturday night, weekend hours.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's
time and a half.
That would kill me. I would not be able to do that. But what I'm saying is that regardless of how we structure this, if you have somebody who's doing it wrong and they're an unethical person, they're gonna find a way to cheat the system. But most are not bad. Most are good. It's the one bad apple
that changes it for the world.
Yep.
No, you're absolutely right. So you talked about lock boxes. What is that all about, and how are they detrimental?
Yeah, that one. So there hasn't been any policy changes really around the lock boxes, but that one actually did surprise me a little when I saw that in some of the notes from the lawsuit. What they were saying, I guess, let me explain how these lock boxes work. So there's different types of lock boxes you can use.
This is when you're selling a house.
When you're selling a house.
You got a lockbox on it with a key.
Yep. So how a buyer's agent and buyer will access the home. So you all have probably seen the little combo boxes. You punch in a code. You can buy those at Home Depot. Anybody can get that code. We try to protect that, but honestly, it could be written on a piece of paper, a buyer see it be entered into the box. They're not as safe and secure. So we do have what we call Supra lockboxes that we get through our association, and it is opened through an app, also through the association. So you have to be a member of the local association and MLS in order to have access to the house, which is great. And I love the security of that because they're tracked. We can see who opened it. We don't have to jump through hoops to approve a showing because for them to get the appointment and for them to open the lockbox, they have to be a member. So we know at that point it is an agent who has an active license, and we have more security there. If we go to combo lockboxes, like I said, there's more safety issues. That's why I've always used the super boxes. The issue here is that it is preventing or making it more difficult for a non-MLS agent to show the house. And that's where, this was part of the issue because we are keeping out non-MLS members. It's what it looks like.
So what does that mean?
The way that I've handled it in the past is that I help to show the house if there's a non-MLS agent that wants to show it. And that's because that's in the best interest of my seller to do that. But it does make it more difficult because now we have to coordinate with an extra person because I have to be there.
Now, why would an agent not be a part of that?
They can choose not to. Now, that does make it difficult because they are not able to have access, but to a lot of things, to the MLS, to have data, and for all of these things we're talking about, but isolating it and keeping it to where non-MLS agents are left out, because you can be a real estate agent and not be a realtor through the association.
Okay. And it costs money, I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm. Yep. The point of this being in the lawsuit was to not exclude people who are non-MLS members, because that is, honestly, it is in the best interest of the sellers to make sure we're exposing their house to the most buyers. But like I said, this one's a little difficult because are you doing that at the trade-off of safety? And so it is something to consider. But if the listing agent is doing their job right, they should be working with those agents. And yes, it's more work to coordinate that or to get them access.
So do you think this really changes anything for someone that's actively selling their house?
For buyers and sellers, the thing that they're going to see right now, if they're actively looking or selling, they probably had to sign an amendment for the change of contract because the contract's changed. And it's a little different on paperwork, but honestly, that happens every year. Paperwork changes. So like I said, they're just going to have an extra page in their contract, but things really won't look different on how the whole process works. It's not this, what do they call it, catastrophic change to the real estate industry that news headlines say. The thing, like I said, that I worry about is mostly for buyers. Either they worry that they can't afford to pay for an agent, or that, which again, that's not really the case. That's what the headlines make it sound like.
Right.
It's not the case. You can still ask the seller to pay agents. It's very nuanced. So that's something you really need to talk to an agent about. But that's what you need to do. You need to sit down and talk to an agent and get all the information.
Absolutely.
But my worry is buyers going unrepresented.
Oh, I see that a lot on my side.
I know. So yes. And you've had stories when you have a transaction, because you're in those sometimes with either buyer or seller or both.
When they're not represented by a
when
real
they
estate
don't
agent.
have a real estate agent.
It's a bit of a challenge. Yes.
I love hearing your complaints.
My complaints about this. Well, yeah, because, I'm not a licensed real estate agent, right? I'm licensed to do mortgages. So when I have clients, and sometimes it's on both sides, right? There's no agent at all involved. Well, the contract's not always correct. I would say most of the time it is not. And we're going kind of back and forth. I can't negotiate, right, on behalf of the buyer. So it really is truly in everyone's best interest, buying and selling, to be represented by a professional that knows what they're doing. The situations that people kind of get themselves into thinking that they're going to get a better deal ends up not really being the case. Unfortunately, I've had some clients that, say they went to a builder and they decided just to drop their agent And then they're trying to go through an entire process of building a house without an agent to help. And of course, they're calling me and asking me questions regarding the building process and how often they go check on their home and inspections and things like that. And that's not really my lane.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, gosh, when you're going through that with a client, you're out there a lot.
Yes.
You're doing a ton. So I'm a little nervous.
We're not just door openers.
You are not. No. There is a huge difference in how the transaction goes when there's a real estate agent, a professional involved, versus somebody who decides they think they're going to save money. But that doesn't really always play out that way.
Well, I know you had that one recently that ended up, it did not close. It fell through. The buyer was unrepresented.
Yep.
How much money is a buyer out when a deal falls through? You have thousands of dollars in, did that one, did he lose earnest money? He probably did.
Yes.
Yeah, because he didn't know. He didn't understand his contingencies. He didn't understand his outs in the contract and missed all his deadlines.
Oh, absolutely. And so I'm the one trying to help him adhere to those things, but the listing agent didn't want to help, and I understand that that wasn't their responsibility. Their responsibility is to the seller.
Yep. So, yeah, he lost earnest money, option money. He lost inspection, appraisal. Thousands of dollars that he lost because he didn't have anybody and it could have been prevented.
Save money. He spent thousands to save money.
And yeah, he's out of house and money. So
yeah, absolutely. So it's
and that could have been prevented too, because just doing things in the right order, understanding the deadlines, he could have saved so much had he just understood what he was doing. But a buyer doesn't know. Like I said, these contracts are 15, 20 pages. And it's so nuanced too. You fill in the blank, but what does it all mean with, all the other terms together? Because when we're looking at filling out the contract and we go to fill in one of the blanks, I'm sitting there explaining to my clients, well, if this happens, then this. And if this happens, then we can do this. It's not as simple as it seems.
It's not. It is not. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out.
Yeah. And we actually did not have buyer agency representation. We did not have that role until the 90s.
Really?
It was only listing agents. It was an agent represented the seller, and that everybody's best interest was towards the seller. That's who everybody looked out for in a transaction. So buyer agency, I know, but why did we add buyer agency?
To protect the buyer.
So yeah, I just hope that this does not, like I said, deter buyers, either because they're scared to sign a contract with an agent or scared of the extra fees. And a lot of it's just, like I said, the news is making it seem scary. And I know a lot of buyers are worried about what it actually means. So,
yes.
What we need to do? We need to do an episode on how to interview an agent.
That would be great.
Yeah, maybe we can get Beth on to help.
Ooh, we can get our coach on here.
Our coach, well, because she knows all the agents, so she knows
everything.
She knows the good and the bad. So, yeah, maybe she can give us some pointer. Obviously, we can offer suggestions, but she might have some unique insight.
Oh, that's a great idea. I love it.
So, yeah,
this one will
need to add
probably
that
be
one.
continued, as this progresses with the NAR stuff.
Yes, because right now the deadline is August 17th. It might get pushed out again, but there's so many changes happening as we go along. We're getting notices. The contracts, we had new contracts that were effective Monday, but then apparently they've already changed again. So, it's just constantly evolving, and we'll be figuring out how some of this will impact different aspects. But mostly that's going to be for us. It's really not going to be a huge change for you guys as the buyers and sellers. So it'll be mostly paperwork behind the scenes for us to figure out.
Talk to your professionals about it. Don't freak out.
Yes,
it's going to be
don't
fine.
freak out, and just, talk to an expert. Don't read the news headlines because they're inaccurate.
They're a little misleading.
They just want you to click.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. All right.
Well, thank you guys for joining us today, and be sure to follow us on our socials. It's Nestology Podcast on Facebook and Instagram, and then nestologypodcast@gmail.com if you want to send us an email.
Thank you all for listening. Thank you for joining us, where we're here to help you make the best of your nest.
Bye.
Bye.